use their tongues to deceive. The venom of snakes is under their lips. Their mouths are full of bitterness and curses. And in their paths, nothing but ruin and misery. And the fear of God is not before their eyes. They have taken the hearts and minds of our leaders. They have recruited the rich and the powerful. And they have blinded us to the truth. Our human spirit is corrupted.
Damn right, it's corrupted. Yes, Sharon.
Hello. Hello, people. Hello, Phil. Corruption all around.
That's all it is, isn't it? There's corruption within everything. I mean, even particularly what we're talking about with what you would affected elements of corruption. We'll just put her up for 2 counts of assault, shut the van door and walk away. You know what I mean? Yeah, just do that to a woman. So that shows a minute form of corruption. Imagine if that guy's really got power, really got influence, really got money, and he's got that type of mindset. But hey ho, welcome everyone to the show. And Sharon, how's your weekend been? All right?
My weekend's been good, yes. I've had a lovely lunch today, Sunday lunch. Can't beat a good Sunday lunch.
Very nice.
But yeah, nice walk with the dogs. Always good.
Oh, the
I had a bit of a problem this morning though. I was going to do a live stream on Streamlabs, and it wouldn't let me on, and then it wouldn't let me come off, and it was recording me. Wow. So I phoned Kate. I was like, Kate, you've got to take it off. It's just recording me. Anyway, I didn't even think to turn my phone off and turn it back on, but which is what stopped the thing. But yeah, so I don't know, something in the air, I think, at the moment, since that new moon, that's causing a little bit of friction around.
It could be, or it could be the location where you're at, as in that wooded area where you seem to find very strange things. One just lying in the woods, and I wouldn't say you found it. I would say your 4-legged friends. What they're finding.
My granddog found it.
Yes, granddog. I mean, we'll talk about that later because that is honestly that is class. But hi guys, how you doing? Obviously, this is Sharon Binks and co-hosting myself as well. We're here on childrensmatter.news. Big shout out going to Kate, all the affiliates and the people in the background as well. There's a raffle currently going on. If anyone is interested, the raffle prize being would be a world-class painting by a talented artist who's honestly, he's going to take the world by storm once these kind of curtailments drop and we suddenly get freedom again. But he's a brilliant artist and he's very professional in the way he puts himself across. So Rob, our Rainbow Wizard, has done a piece of work which is donating for a raffle for childrensmatter.news. So if anyone is interested in joining that raffle, if you just touch up, if you look at the link below that's going on this little banner, click on that and then that'll take you to raffle details, I'm assuming. But yes, please do what you can to support the channel, support Kate, support childrensmatter.news. That's why we're here, because we recognise all the work that Kate has done in the background and really essentially what the ethos of the channel is all about. So yes, Sharon, good to see you. Been a bit of a different weekend for me, one way or the other. Another late, or should I say early start, early finish, however you want to call it. Bloody up all night, burning the candle at both ends as normal, but all in the sake of DJing. Now, this is very ironic, Sharon, because, sorry, I'll let you chat, but I just wanted to say this. It pains me to say that I heard something today that a very old friend of mine, and ironic that I'm talking about my Manic Manx and talking about the DJing. If it wasn't for this person, a chap called Andy Barker from 808 State, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have been DJing. I knew him personally, and he personally showed me the ropes in order to start DJing. And I started DJing at a little youth club that he was DJing at, and he allowed me to take over while he went to another youth club. So it was him initially that taught me how to use a set of old-fashioned turntables, and I'll never forget him or Darren Parkinson, which turned out to be two members that then went on to form 808 State. They went on worldwide acclaim and awards everywhere, songs all over. And it's ironic that Sharon will know exactly who 808 State is because of the time period and what we were talking about last time with the Hacienda and the kind of Manchester music scene and what that done nationally, you know what I mean, in terms of music and bringing white, black, Chinese, whatever, all together just on
There's a big gig on in Manchester in this month, isn't there? The 21st, I think it is. 20th or 21st. It's Manchester Made Is Funky. It's an all-nighter. I'm considering.
How it is. Party people. Manchester are party people. We've got it running through our veins, you know. And like I say, I mean, it saddens me to hear that because, I mean, the guy is 53 or was 53, you know. So your own mortality slaps you in the face there because I'm 52 next year. So, you know, you do think about it. And the fact that I'm DJing yesterday and all my journey with DJing wouldn't have happened if I'd met that guy. And if we've done, you know, where my path would have gone, it might not have been DJing because he was the only person that gave me that opportunity to do it. So, yeah, it's very sad. I'm not sure the actual details. I think the family just want a little bit of privacy and just to be able to grieve in peace at this moment in time. But yeah, I just wanted to offer my condolences to his friends, his family, anyone who knew him. I mean, like I say, you know, probably this event that you're talking about now, they'll probably do some kind of wild tribute to that guy because of what he represented for the Manchester scene. You know?
Yeah. It was fabulous times, and I remember friends of mine getting the little deck. I think it was there was actually it was, I don't know what you would call it, you would know, and it was called an 808 something. It was a music, and you could make all the different the sounds on it. And we used to go back after the clubs to his farm, and there's a little room at the back of the house where he'd messed about with the tunes and everything. It was all on there, and I'm sure it was something like an 808 something.
808 is the drum. It's the drum. So that's how 808 State become, because their name is derived from a drum beat.
Right.
They still use it now, 808s. Literally, it's one of them retro drum sounds that never get old. You know, so it's just a proper good sounding drum that you can get all kinds of frequencies out of it. So yeah, I can imagine you can get a lot of fun with them. And when you think about the 808, how many different music forms have spawned from people using the 808, it's sickening, honestly. You know, if you were to extract the 808 from music, you'd have nothing left.
I know.
Country music or something, you know what I mean? It's like everyone's using the 808 in one way or another. But yeah, I know you mentioned you sent that link to me, or you sent an advert, a promotion on that gig. Are you going to be going to that gig?
I'm hoping to. Yeah, we'll see. I know my old clubbing buddy, her daughter's now old enough to go, so she may well be going with her friends as well. So we'll see what happens. But while we're still talking about the weekend, I'm gonna flash my leg again, because I know I did a little video yesterday to promote my daughter's new business, but you know, we've got to take the opportunities where we can. So I'm going to show you her artwork, and she's just starting out. So she's can you see that all right?
Yes, I can see it.
That's my Justice tattoo. And yeah, she's very good already, but she's doing half price at the moment till she gets settled in at the studio. So yeah, that's that bit done.
She's very talented, isn't she?
I might see if she'll offer one in for a raffle prize or something. There you go. I'll see what she says.
What a children's matter .news tattoo or a free tattoo? Has it got to be a Children's Matter logo?
No. You couldn't expect somebody to force them to have a certain thing, but it wouldn't. Maybe an hour's work or something small. I don't know. We'll see. I'll ask her.
No, I think it's a good idea just to make them have the Children's Matter logo. If anyone wants it, you can have it done free of charge. You know what I mean? Boom.
No, can't expect it to work for nothing. Bless her. She's got to pay for ink and that.
No, I get that. So how long has she been going?
Well, she's going to go full time after Christmas. But she's just doing she works at the school at the moment, so she goes into the studio after school. So she's we're all lining up for her to practice on. but that I've got a lot of tattoos, as you know, and that is my favorite. That is the best tattoo, and the detail in it, because she's already she's an artist anyway. She's very good with the pen, so it's a beautiful. It probably doesn't do it justice on there, but yeah, I would.
Sharon, I've got a feeling you're going to be just levered in tattoos now, aren't you?
No wrinkles here.
Just don't be doing any of that body modification. You know what I mean? Putting ribs on your back and screwing in little whiskers.
Hey, I've had all the body modifications I want, thank you.
I know, but you do fear that people, when they do them tattoos, I mean, I'm not suggesting everyone's different, but it's like there's avenues, isn't there? And when people get banged into the avenue of just having more and more tattoos, you're not that far away from actually then piercing up and then putting them rings in and then doing this, then doing that. And it's like, once you've got the whole package, it's like, who the fuck are you? Because I don't even recognise you anymore. You know what I mean? Yeah,
no, I won't be doing any of that. But I do like, well, that's my third grandchild, that one, you see. There's a little story behind it. That's her tarot card, the Justice, and it just happened to tie in with all the stuff I've been doing. And of course, the tree, being earth and grounded and connected, it's very significant. She picked that one anyway to do. So it means a lot, that does. Yeah.
Oh, good.
But the other two I've got, the other two do as well. I don't forget the other children, but as far as the tattoos themselves go, that's definitely the best piece of work.
Well, you could.
Yeah, we'll move on.
You know what, Sharon? That's not a Banksy. That's a Binksy, innit?
Yeah.
People are going to be turning up to your house to take a photo of your leg, right? I'm telling you. I've got a feeling she's going to have a very budding career in front of her. Best of luck to her anyway. Really, best of luck moving forward with that. Right.
Well, her boyfriend didn't have any tattoos until the other week. I think he's got 3 now already.
Really? See what I mean? I told you. So, how long is it before he's going to get ribs down his back? Telling you.
No, he might have a full leg done though by the end of it.
Listen, it gets so infectious. That's what I hear of everyone that does it. He wants to get one done. It's like they don't know where to start, you know. But listen, let's get back on track here now.
It's a growth thing as well, because it kind of define who you are, I think, by what you wear on your skin. And I've had many cover-ups, which will tell you how much I changed over the years, and I shed skins and I have to, start afresh. And it's just like, you're still the old you, but you've got a fresh skin on top after you come out of the hero's journey. Then it's waiting for the next adventure to start. So I'm all, that's my body modification, is the skin, the ink.
Everyone's got their own theories on it. I've not marked my body once in terms of tattoos. I've got enough scars to map England all over my body, being a young kid growing up. But tattoos, I did consider it just before, around the early 20s, and I never just went through with it. Not for any reason, it just didn't happen, and I've just never done it since. And then all of a sudden, it's kind of reasserted itself, and it now a lot of people do it, and they have been probably for the past 2 decades. But to me, I still stay the same. I don't, I'm not going to change now. I've seen many people that have done wrong tattoos, many people that have done stupid tattoos and done it pissed up. And I'll never forget one guy on holiday. We was in Cyprus, and there was, obviously most people know there's a base out there, and there was a guy who he was in the forces, and he tattooed Johnny's name on the inside of his lip. And I'm not, like, whatever floats your boat, dude. Whatever floats your boat. Someone was telling me something about a tattooist as well. They call it, there's a certain name that, as in a tattooist has the inside of his lip. And someone was telling me they had they're a tattooist, and they tattooed a penis and a set of testicles on the inside of the lip. And apparently it's I'm not saying every tattooist does that, but every tattooist generally do something on the inside of the lip, so I was told. So I'm just not that way inclined. I mean, that's just me, you know what I mean? It's just the way I stand. But I have seen many beautiful tattoos, and I've seen a lot of, like, what was the point of that? But I guess beauty is in the eye of the beholder, isn't it? You know what I mean? A bit of writing that's significant to someone for whatever meaning. So, yeah, it's a personal choice, isn't it? It's a personal choice.
It helps you remember the grandchildren's dates of birth as well when you've got the name and date of birth on you.
You know what? That's a good point, that. I probably need to write the anniversary on my arm. Put
it on your wedding finger. Get it tattooed on your wedding finger. You won't forget.
Yeah. Just in a place that when she asked me randomly, I can just strategically move my hand and be in the know. Yeah, that's not a bad point. That.
Just say hello to Brett as well.
Well, big hello to everyone who's jumped in. Who've we got in? We've got Mike here. We've got Brett that jumped in. And anyone else, if I've missed you out, if you've not commented, hello, welcome. It's Sharon and I that's going to be here now just for whatever, the next hour or so, I guess, running through what was the journey so far, in a sense. I mean, where we're up to is the incident where you got arrested and you basically got manhandled, and you could argue false accusations put on against you. So let's pick it up from there. What happened after that? I mean, obviously you went home. What was the next stage as far as the police were concerned?
Well, I had to reappear. I had to appear at court in Manchester in the June. I'm not sure of the date now. I think it was about the 18th of June. No.
Right, actually. I think you're right. June the 18th. I think you're right. Because I was just looking at the clip, and yeah, I'm sure it was around June that time.
So that was like a month after the event, really, on the charges of assaulting the police. And so I think it was a mutual friend of ours got in touch with you, told you I was going to be at the court, and asked you if you want to go down, come down and meet me. So I wasn't there on my own, which was very nice of you, thank you. And then John Lawrence got in touch and said, could he come down as well? So I know he had his own footage because he was outside while we went to the court. So yeah, I was appearing in court on charges of assaulting the police. And walking around the area, it's apparently private property, as we found out.
Well, the word that kept coming out, now I've looked over the clip, a private state, Sharon, private state.
Yeah.
You know? So the clip that we're going to show now, it's a funny clip.
And the interesting thing is, after you put that on, a guy that I'd been talking to at my very first demo, which leads back to the first demo, from that area, got in touch with me and said, I was watching the video and where you were, and he was telling me the tale about, it used to be a friend of his that had the area, and then it's like being sold off and it is private. But then he was telling me about other things, dealings with terrorists and all sorts of things going on. So yeah, it's there's a lot we don't know that is under the, you know, that when it's heavy, like the security guys like that are not allowing you to even walk past without giving you a chew for having a camera in your hand, then it is a police state, isn't it? It's and who's running the show around there if it's private?
I mean, this incident is just like the police in the sense that the kerfuffle that later occurred from all that, it come from the people that were getting in our faces. On both instances, and the instances when we was with yourself, we were just merely walking. We wasn't doing anything wrong, but yet all that kerfuffle was because they stopped us. If they wouldn't have stopped us, none of that would have happened. And it's the same instance.
We were like, thank you. It was a gift, wasn't it? It really was.
And with the mole, that's what the guy apparently is called. We were in a place called Lincoln Square, and we were cutting through to go to Spinning Fields, is it? Spinning Gardens?
Yeah, to the courts.
Yeah, the Deansgate. We were basically looking for the court because we were unsure, weren't we? We were just wandering around. Now, we wasn't set up. We wasn't there in a stationary position filming. We were walking through and we had no intentions on stopping. I was pointing the camera at you and I wasn't filming every building around and getting in people's face. People will see the clip. If this guy would have left us alone, we'd have been off the premises within 30 seconds. We had no interest. But yet, because he felt an element of superiority and he had to then put down his kind of power on us, he then tried to proclaim that I had the attitude on him. And what I was trying to say to him is that the only attitude I was giving you is the fact that you were doing what you were doing to me. I had no business even talking to you. We were walking past. So it was funny, and it is funny. And there's two clips. This is the first one. And just watch and make up your own mind, guys. If you want to stop at any point and talk about it, Sharon, just let me know. Here we go. This man is a
So, we're here in Manchester and we're here with the lovely lady, Sharon Binks. Hello there, Sharon. Last time I seen you, you were getting a pair of bracelets put on you.
Yeah, I've still got the scars.
I still got the scars. And he wasn't Pandora either, was it?
No, it wasn't. No.
So, exactly. So, we're here today because it's a conclusion of what happened on the day that we was in Manchester.
Day. I've got to go plea in court on the assault charge against the police. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we can't. Well, we can't say too much at this point, can we? We're here for support because John and I, you was in our company, and I certainly, as well as obviously wanting to report it and support you, I personally couldn't go to work today thinking, oh, Sharon's in court, never mind, might never see it again, but
well,
you know what?
I appreciate your support, boys.
No, well, you know, we're providing a service for other people because there's plenty of people who want to know about this and should know about it as well. So, how do you feel about all this then?
It's a bit bizarre, really.
Yeah.
Because clearly I didn't assault the police.
Yeah.
And you know, it's one of those common sense situations that you think there is no common sense around much now.
Yep.
So you don't know which way it's going to go. You think, well, it'll get thrown out because it was an awful arrest, or you know, seems that way. But we'll see. They may throw it out, which is good.
Hopefully they'll see that it's a waste of time.
I'm going to request that I'm tried in Crown Court, so I've got a jury. Just because the magistrates aren't. If it's a serious offence, then I think it should be dealt with on a serious level. Peers.
Yeah.
Peers.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, if they want to charge me with that, then they'll have to take me all the way. They'll have to spend a lot of money to do that. And
hopefully that will make them realise how frivolous it is, and it'll just fizzle away then, won't it?
If they want to waste taxpayers' money on a trumped-up charge, then that just demonstrates how wasteful they are anyway, doesn't it? So,
of course it does.
Yeah. See how it goes.
Yes, that's all we can do, really.
Not guilty, obviously.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, we all remember the events of that day. It was
so unjust. It's unbelievable. But we've got to now go through the system and see what the system.
Can I help you guys? Can I help you guys?
No, you can't. Listen, mate, you can't tell me what to do on a public street, I'm afraid.
You don't need to give me the attitude, right?
You're the one stopping me, just walking through. Okay?
You don't need to be attitude.
Like, listen, I ain't giving you attitude. I ain't giving you attitude, I'm just telling you. I'm walking.
You don't have to record it, it's a private state.
I am walking through, and you cannot stop me walking as a member of the public. Well, you can advise me all you want, but you can't touch my camera, and you can't touch me. All right, then.
Well, I'm saying to you, I wouldn't give me the attitude. You're not allowed to do this here.
You can say what you want, my friend. I'm not stopping it, and I'm walking straight through.
Until you go off like that.
Oh, you do what you want, my friend. Okay, you do what you want.
You gotta call me. I'm 6 anyway. So.
Right, it's fine.
You gotta come as much you want.
There you go. So if someone was walking with a mobile phone and they were recording...
It's a private state, you're not allowed to...
A private state?
Yep.
Since when is town centre been a private state?
Why don't you research on Google?
Well, so listen, why don't you just go and do your job instead of giving me grief? Well, you can escort me where you want.
Yeah, no.
Say I want to go over there, you're going to follow me over there as well. What about if I want to go over there, you're going to follow me here? What? Yeah, follow me, come on. Come on. See, you're the one being ridiculous, my friend. You are. This is what's happening, guys.
Yep.
This is what's happening.
Just enter the private property. You just cannot do that.
Oh, really?
Until you get a permit. If
Really?
you want to get a permit, just call this, then I can give you the number.
No, it's all right, mate. I don't need no permit.
Legal.
No, I don't need no permit, mate. I'm just walking through here as a free citizen, okay? Well, I'm sure you've got better things to do, haven't you, sir?
That's my job. That's what I'm getting paid for.
What, your job is to, like, curtail people?
Stop people like you to require...
Stop people like me? Why, what's me? How do you describe someone like me, then?
I just told you in a nicely way, you just recorded me. I told you you're not allowed to record it, just give me attitude.
I can record as an individual member of the public walking down the street. State.
Why don't you research?
Why don't you just get off my back?
No, I'm advising you to not do that.
You're not advising me anything. You're telling me and you're following me like some kind of stalker. I'm not giving you attitude. I'm giving you what you give me. Yeah? I won't creating any problems there.
I'm not even touching you.
No, you're not. But you're giving me grief. You're giving me grief.
You give me attitude.
There's all kinds of people walking up the street with phones and then you've targeted me and you're not letting go. So what do you think I'm going to do? Do you think I'm just going to stand there and take it? No, I ain't, my friend. We'll say I want to stand there for a bit longer. What are you going to do?
You're looking for V, right? Is that what you're trying to do?
No, I'm filming your ass. That's what I'm doing.
What's that film going to do to me?
Do your research. Do your research. Find out you don't belong in this country. This doesn't belong to you. It belongs to us.
What the hell? Jesus Christ. I've just stepped in a military zone or something. It's like Area 51 in the middle of Deansgate. Come on. Well, you say what you saw there. I mean, I've already said my bit there, Sharon.
It just, I mean, you're giving me attitude, so that gives me the right to follow you around and harass you. What? I was trying to work out what his watch was because it looked quite a nice watch, actually.
If this guy actually took the time to realise what he'd done, as we were walking past, he said, "Can I help you?" Which I said, "No, you can't." So then, apparently, because I was then remonstrating with him, that's me giving him attitude. I didn't feel to give him any attitude there. He instantly jumped on me and wasn't letting go. And then there could have been all kinds of things going on around at that point. It was just me there, and you could see. And even though I was walking off, I wasn't stood there. He was still walking with us.
He must have been bored or something, just standing outside of the restaurant. You know, it's like you say, there was no reason for him to speak to us at all. Nobody gave, like, we didn't pay him any attention. We were walking, talking to each other, weren't we? Crazy. And then he sees it upon himself. And he was wanting us to walk outside of the parameters of what he thought that we were allowed to be on for whatever reason. It's like Section 35 all over again, isn't it?
I know, and it's just like people just getting in your face. I don't mind. He had the body camera on. So I should say, remember, you're not allowed to record me. It's a private state, innit? So what'll go on in there? You know, and it's like, you know, when people just go through their emotions, and you could clearly see he could have handled that in a totally different way. And he didn't even have to get in my face because we were going. It's not, I could understand if I'd set up a tripod and I was just about to film an interview stood there. Even though I'm still in the street, you know, I could understand it. But it's like, man, you know, on the journey, you just get people getting in your face, telling you that you can't record when, if anyone's walking down the street doing a selfie there, he's not going to do the same thing to them and chase them off like he did to me. So it's because what it amounts to, he didn't like the fact that I just flipped him off when he said, "Can I help you?" No, you can't.
That's a fine example of an ego that needs to be shrunk.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like his ego was slapped just because I wasn't having anything he was saying. I didn't recognise his power because we're just walking past. You mean nothing to me, dude. We're going. And I think because I had that attitude, it wasn't an attitude, but because it diminished his role, I think that then he wanted to like just prove his worth a little bit, which in a way just give us more comedy gold, didn't it?
Yeah, it was quite funny actually. It entertained us till we went into the car, and was he still there when we come out? I can't remember. I think he was, wasn't it?
We've got another clip. We have got another clip, yes. Because we, like I say, we were trying to find where we were supposed to be. We didn't know roughly which, because there's different courts, isn't there? There's
about 3 or 4 courts around there, isn't there? There's different ones.
Yeah. So we eventually found the court, and to be fair, it was a wasted journey on your part, because if you want to explain when we got there what happened.
Well, we were waiting upstairs, weren't we, just in the waiting area, and the I don't know, she was CPS or something. She came out and said that the charges had been thrown out of court for lack of evidence. So they didn't even let me into the courtroom, which was a good thing in a way because it saved me going in there. But then on the other hand, I didn't get a chance for it to officially be thrown out. That kind of, I didn't even get to claim my expenses because because I didn't get to speak to anybody in the court that was in charge of that day in those proceedings. I was going up and down the stairs trying to find, they kept sending me to a different floor, and I was like, do you know what, forget it. but yeah, it was a waste of time because they knew the night before. I found out after I went to the court, took them to court, that they weren't going to go ahead with it. So they could have informed me the night before, but they didn't. They let me come all the way over.
Well, I mean, most people know, but where is it you come from? Obviously, this was in Manchester where you had to get to. But
yeah, well, I live up near Middlesbrough, so, you know, it's a good couple of hours drive anyway, 2.5 some days. But they don't care, do you know what I mean? They all wanted to turn up because they all get paid, and they couldn't even be bothered to let me know that they weren't going to go ahead with it, you know, so it's just that I don't know, it's that hierarchy thing, isn't it, I guess, where
yeah, they think they're above, and us little people don't need to know details. But when you're pissing people about, and you needn't have travelled really, and I needn't have took a day off work. Not that I'm always bothered, but you know, I'm just saying, now you look at it, we're literally in there, 15 minutes once we realised where we needed to be. And we just kind of said, well, just go home now. So
yeah.
It's like, well, what was all that about? And you think of the hoo-ha, but then it shows how, when they say no evidence, it clearly shows that it backs up your theory. You'd done nothing wrong. There was nothing in it, nothing of weight to justify it.
Yeah. And the fact that he'd said to his mate, assault ×2, and then they quickly filled the forms in on their phones to report the incident, and they both ticked all the same boxes. So he tore strips off him in court about it, because it was like, well, how were you protecting the public by treating her like that in the back of the van? and you know, they were justifying how they dealt with me. And they ticked all the boxes, like they were protecting the public. It was for public safety. It was for my safety. Punching me in the back was for my safety. And yeah, so they just ticked all the same boxes. So it was just a case of let's set her up. Really, it's our word against theirs. Really, so
yeah.
yeah.
And by collaborating and them supposedly being in a position of authority, two of them plus you, that means you're generally going to be the one that's going to lose out because their word counts for more than yours.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. And this is what we were talking about before, that their character is not being assessed in any of that. Their badge means that their general assessment will be taken into consideration over yours. When you look at their character and the way they acted as human beings, no.
And this goes through all of the authorities, really, whether it's social workers or, you know, teachers or whoever. They all collaborate with each other. You know, you have these multi-agency away days where they all talk to each other. And so when you go to these multi-agency meetings, the family, the little people don't stand a chance because all these professionals are patting each other's backs and shaking each other's hands and sharing a cup of coffee. So, and they've got the authority. So if a social worker chooses to lie about somebody, everyone around that table is going to believe them because they're a social worker. But I know loads of social workers that are quite happy to tell lies. You know, I know a lot that are decent, but you know, those that are willing to lie are willing to destroy the families, and those that are inadequate and lazy, like with the police, will go to any measures to cover up their inadequacies and cover up their lack of skill or you know, avoidance of the truth, let's say, by blaming others and putting the heat on others or accusing others of doing something or you know, it's like they know that, like them laughing in court and the judge having to tell them to stop laughing at the back of the court, right, while his mate's telling him what happened to me in the back of the van, and he thinks it's funny. I mean, he smirked when he was asked about himself. And this is how cocky they are, because they can hide behind the uniform, they can hide behind the badge and the number, and they've got all that support with them. I mean, I know even working in the services where the social workers were, if I reported one of them for lying, which I did do, I got told off for accusing her of being a liar. Fortunately, the headmistress also knew she was a liar and backed me up. But it was always back to me. If I pointed out somebody's, say, not being level and or fair or honest, it'll come down on me because I'm lower down in the pecking order. Well, hierarchy means nothing in my world. We're all the same. Don't doff your cap to nobody. Do you know what I mean? If that's the right terminology. But we're all equal, and we all have to take responsibility for how we treat other people, and we face the karma for that. So, you know,
no matter what your level is, no matter what your level, you hold your hands up when you drop a bollock, you know, and particularly when it's detrimental towards other people. And I could understand if you've done something that then leads to, you know, something detrimental to a family or an individual. It wouldn't be nice holding your hands up. It's not a nice place to be at when you drop a bollock. But then to cover it up to make sure that you're not exposed, that's not on. Not when you know that someone has demised in a certain way or it's affected, impacted someone's life in a certain way. That's not on. If it's a victimless crime, okay, it's a cheeky one. You know, I've dropped a tin of paint at work the odd time and I've cleaned it up, and what bit I haven't, I won't there. You know what I mean? Everyone's done that. But if a tub of paint drops on a kid's head from 5 stories up, I wouldn't be blagging that it was another painter or, oh, you didn't see me, you didn't see me. I'd have to hold my hands up. And it'd be shit and I might end up going down for it, but it's what you do. Not saying.
But it's like you said, Phil, if you drop a bollock, you try and put it right, don't you? You do what you can to what's the word? amend it. So it's like when they've got that power and authority and they've got the backup that they've got, I understand now that the complaints procedure is geared up to take it over the time frame that you can actually take that person to court. It's then the police force after that. Do you know what I mean? That's why they delay it apparently. And so they're that cocky that they're going to get backed up and that their word's going to be taken over anybody else's, that they can afford to just toss it off, basically. Lie. It's like, if you've got integrity, you do the right thing even when nobody's looking, or you try as much as possible. Nobody's perfect, but when you've got no integrity, you will lie through your teeth to make sure that the spotlight's not on you. And when you're in that position, when you're wearing that uniform or carrying that ID badge that says you've got some authority to interfere in other people's lives, which we all need to start saying, no, we're not having it anymore. You have no authority with me.
We can't always assume that people that do use their power and influence, we can't always assume that they're just wrong uns. You know what I mean? What I'm saying is, there must have been a lot of people that are good people, decent people, but have used their power in order to evade, you know, maybe the bollock they drop, maybe them or whatever, maybe to help one of the mates out, because they know that them gears are in place if they do it right. But generally, they might be law-abiding, decent people. So this is the conundrum that we've got. That
the whole system is corrupt, though, isn't it? If you're part of that system, you have to kind of keep your head down and just get along with your job every day to pay the bills, or you get involved in the corruption. But I mean, even that MP that was killed recently, when you dig into it, he was actually investigating into all the pedo stuff, which, if this is why this gets covered over so much, I think, because when they start raking around, the girl that got killed in Ireland, they blamed it was a bit of a terrorist kickoff. The girl reporter that got killed there by a stray bullet, she was producing a film about all the elite pedos as well. So, and I think in the Catholic Church, she'd investigated it. So when you look into these random, attacks that that says it's a random bullet or a psycho stabbing or whatever, usually these people are gotten rid of because they're in a power of, a position where they could have some sway, I guess, and they're taken out because nobody wants to open that Pandora's box, and anybody that's willing to do it is taken out of the equation. And the paedophilia stuff seems to be the top of the protection agenda as far as covering up. I mean, you notice that when we do demos, we hardly get the support. When it's about something else, anything else, it seems to get a lot of support. So,
Sharon, can you answer me this? Because I've always been perplexed. Why is Jimmy Savile's history as a paedophile, why has it been buried under national security? For what reason would that need to have that status? That to me is what you're talking about.
And he was cocky like he was because he knew he could just drop some names and they'd be in the shit because he knew so much about them because he was procuring the children for them. So he knew he could be cocky and get away with it, and that's what he was. Whenever he was interviewed, he couldn't. His narcissism couldn't help but come out. He's bragging about being friends with the Queen and all of that sort of thing. And I think he made some comments about Philip saying, "Get the boy out" or "Get rid of the child" or something on some show I saw. There's some interview, and I thought, you've got to be pretty cocksure of yourself to be name dropping like that to that degree on the TV and knowing that nobody's going to touch you for it.
Well, just like Riley Rose. Hi, Riley Rose. Savile is still protected. I mean, don't get me wrong. They needed to throw part of Savile's legacy to the Lambs, because it was just overt what he'd done. But when it comes to truly getting justice, when it comes to truly then having an inquiry that will then work out through 6 degrees of separation exactly who Jimmy Savile must have been connected with that would widen the scope, that's when the gates close. But the
thing about Esther Ranson and Childline as well, I truly believe that Childline was set up in order to filter out any complaints made against the elite paedophiles, child rapists, let's call them. I think because that was around his heyday as well, and I think, you know, I do think that was simply set up just to filter those complaints out, you know, because they're encouraging children. But it's also now used to get children against the parents. You know, Childline's all over the school phone, Childline, if your parent does this or that, right? Well, I've known parents that's had a real need of Childline when their child's been abused and they've had nothing. So for me, it's just one of those fronts. It's like a money laundering shop. It's like a sunbed shop for a drug dealer, isn't it?
Yeah, I was just reading a demo on the 20th against the BBC documentary on Savile Media City. Do you know anything about the demo, and 2, the documentary?
No, I don't watch TV. Certainly not the BBC.
Yeah, I mean, there's all certain things I watch with the wife, and they're generally like drama-based stuff that we can both get into. I don't sit and watch I can't. We can't even watch adverts because
no,
it's so infuriating.
Have you seen the new series that's coming out from the same people as Handmaid's Tale? You know, Handmaid's Tale was the one that all these wealthy women were barren from some procedure or medication or whatever previously, so they were using all the fertile women to give children to, like to get impregnate. However, the new one is called Dope. What is it? Dope. I had it earlier as well. Dope Sick, it's called, and it's about all these people addicted to this drug. It's funny that, isn't it? It's all coming out when everyone's getting told by Javid to get a top up so as not to disrupt Christmas, and things like that come out. You know, they're just laughing at us, aren't they?
Is that what? I mean, we've got to be careful, haven't we? But fear and propaganda, Sharon.
Why call it Dope Sick though? When, I mean, people know dope as like smoke, and that's really the least harmful of all the recreational stuff out there. Do you know, as far as, you know, people just sit and chill, don't they? It's medicinal purposes and all the rest of it. So calling it that, to me, is just...
It's the least detrimental and it's the least addictive. That's out of all the known tranquilizers, pharmaceuticals, alcohol, tobacco. You know, it's at the bottom.
And it's most natural as well.
I know.
So,
it's kind of with what's going on. And the flip side to it, the opioids are pretty much used, in medical scenarios, but you could argue that that type of drug is being misused as well, because if you're not prepared to use other alternative remedies when they could have been used, and you're just prepared to use these hardcore drugs on people willy-nilly, you might serve the pharmaceutical companies, but you're not serving the people there, because you're over-prescribing generally, you know, if you could look at it that way.
When the CAMS service, the Child and Adolescent Mental Health Service, I dealt with them quite a lot, because the kids that I was working with, there were families that were struggling with the children's behaviour, which was usually some sort of, you know, there could be some other issue behind it. And so they used to go there for assessment or whatever to see if there was any mental health problems and things like that. And it got to a point where they stopped. They were no longer commissioned to work to look at the attachment issues to assess for attachment issues, which for me was the basis of the figuring out the mental health problem, because you look at the positive and negative attachment and the you know, ambivalent and whatever. It's you observe the attachments with the parents and with the environment to see where the child needs the help, or where there's a deficit, or you know, whether there's enough ticks to put it into one bracket or other, autism, whatever it is. And when they said they were no longer commissioned to look at attachment, a lot of the kids that I was working with, whether it was parental mental health, you know, postnatal depression that's caused some attachment difficulty, or whether it's you know, domestic abuse or something like that that's caused that behavior, they were no longer going to look at it. So to me it was like, what, so you're just going to look for things that you can medicate? And then you think, well, you get a child on medication at a young age, you've got a customer for life, because by the time they've finished on the medication that you're giving them at school, they're going to have some problems with their health caused by the medication that then you then medicate for. You know, my friend, her stomach was bleeding because she was on back pain medication that was caused by the medication for the back pain. So what do? Do you take the pharmaceuticals, or do you you know, I think I would suggest people look into more natural remedies as much as possible, because they've tried to hide them from us. But yeah, stay away from the pharmaceuticals. But yeah, even the Children's Mental Health Service was geared towards prescribing for these kids, which is wrong.
Well, no, well, like you say, I mean, with what's going on now, you can see all this is doing. It's just feeding the pharmaceuticals, the elites. And it's funny because it's just like Mo, it's just like the police. These people are using their power, their influence, in order to control other people in many ways. And when you look at the severity of the consequences and the ramifications of what these guys are doing, you know what I mean? This is not telling me that I can't film. This is not telling me that I can't go to a counter protest. This is actually telling me I've got to do something, as well as it's doing it to other people, and without acknowledging the consequences. With
how ironic that you were told you couldn't film there because it was a private state, yet us walking through Manchester to go from one area to another, they followed us on the cameras right the way there, and then they checked every CCTV camera that I was in focus of to see if I'd committed any antisocial behaviour to make the Section 50 stick, which they couldn't because I hadn't. So to say you can't film around any area of Manchester unless that private state has no CCTV camera footage, if cameras anywhere, which I find hard to believe, then it makes a mockery of what it was saying anyway, really, doesn't it?
Like I say, you had a body cam on. You're telling me I can't film, but what have you got on your chest there, you punk? You know what I mean? I don't want you filming that. Oh, I'm allowed to film because I'm on my private state. And this is the double standards that the average person's had enough of now. They're done with this. It's all right for you.
Show us your badge, Mo.
Well, I tell you what, you know what I mean? Show us your bloody badge, Mo. Show us your badge. Show us your badge, Mo.
Show us your crap. He don't want us to film anywhere in Manchester. Oh, look. Oh, he's noticed me, look. He's noticed me. Oh, look. He's on his blower. He's on his blower.
You don't understand the English, do you?
I don't understand English. I've been accompanying my friend at the magistrate court. I'm moving, you absolute imbecile.
It doesn't matter. It's recording. You're not allowed to.
I'm carrying it, so it's an offence to carry it now, is it?
If you come back, I'll call the police.
You call who you want. Call who you want. I'm off. I'm on the right of way here. So I can actually record here now, can't I? You work for Spinningfield Security. What's your name and number then?
Mo.
Mo?
Yeah, you don't need to know my number, but that's my name.
What, Mo what?
Are you not?
Mo what?
You asked me my number.
Well, give us your number.
What's
Then.
your...
Are you not obliged?
What?
You're challenging us, so you're not obliged to give us your number.
More than 4 times in the private state.
Give us your number then.
I was actually walking up here. Wasn't causing anything.
Colleague. It's not my colleague.
He's someone I know.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's someone I know.
Okay.
Mo.
You're wasting time, bro.
You're wasting time, Mo.
I'm here 12 hours.
Let me see your
You're
badge.
wasting time, Mo.
You have to show me your badge.
Doesn't matter.
You show me your badge. Show me your because you're
Come on, give us some details.
That's my job.
Show me your badge.
I'm doing my
Right. Well, I've got a right. We've got a right.
You guys wait till I come back.
Yeah.
Just wait.
Oh,
I'll
yeah.
call my supervisor.
Oh, yeah, because that's what you need, Mo, don't you? You need your backup, Mo. Jesus, why don't you get a proper job, Mo?
I'm asking you.
Get a proper job. Come on, Mo, get a proper job. Mo, there's got to be better things you can do with your time, Mo.
Show us your badge.
Show us your badge, Mo.
What number are you? Show us your badge. Oh, you see, you're running now.
Way to go, Mo. Way to go.
Do you not understand English?
No, I don't, obviously. Walking up the street. Walking up the freaking street. What's that all about? He's got it in for us.
Private street. It's a private street.
Well, some of the guys have been looking up. There's nothing to say that we can't be there.
Whose street? This street.
Mo Street.
Mo Street.
Mo Street.
Show us your badge, Mo.
You know, I tell you what, see the way he stood there, marshalling that line, and I just don't get what people like that are on. You know what I mean? He's got a worthless, meaningless job. Is that just one way of making it meaningful for him? Because if he wants to make it more meaningful, why don't he help women carry the bags through this private fucking state that he's so protective over? And then he'll really spiritually feel good about himself when I go home. Instead of going, you know, I've had nothing in all day, but you know what, this one guy, I chased him off twice. You didn't chase me off because on both occasions we were heading out anyway.
But we should have maybe asked. We should have maybe asked to see his badge early on, and then he would have skilled off anyway.
Yeah. I mean, what a muppet! What a muppet! And considering what we were covering at that time, I mean, going back to that, the reason why we really got into all this, you just didn't need people trying to further censor you when you wasn't doing anything wrong. I mean, it just got to that point now where you feel that whatever you cover, you're no longer normal. Does that make any sense? You know, because what you are covering is so niche that dickheads like that can actually do that. But because we follow what we follow, people will side with that muppet and say, well, you shouldn't have been there, you shouldn't have done this, you shouldn't have done that. And they've got no right to say that because we're innocent people that were just walking either through a certain part of town or coming out of that building. And I didn't see a single sign anywhere, Sharon, that prohibited anyone from filming anything. Normally, when they come out with such stringent laws, the first thing they would have to do is display it in a public place to make sure that when your ass goes to court, you ain't got a leg to stand on. Oh, I've just parked my vehicle here. Well, you weren't supposed to. Well, I didn't know that. Well, maybe that big sign there, you know what I'm saying? It's like there was nothing. It was just him. So, yeah, it's just one of them funny experiences that make you think, man, we're on a red pilling journey and look at this dickhead. You know?
I know. He's I mean, obviously, he can walk away from whatever door he was supposed to be securing because he was following us around. But like you say, I think some people are just justifying their existence, aren't they? They're just jobs worth. Unfortunately, there's probably a high percentage of people that he would throw his authority at, and they would bow down to it. As people do when you've got a badge or a uniform or anything else. It's like that badge and that uniform doesn't give you the right to interfere with people going about the business without interfering in your life. So,
yeah, true. It's true. And people are not buying that anymore. You know, that's not a good enough excuse anymore. You know, no matter what position I hold, doesn't give me the right to condescend, patronise, or to then use that power to make sure I get one over on it. And this will happen all the time. So even if I'm a difficult individual, you still haven't got the right to abuse your powers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just means that psychologically you've lost the battle with me. So then now you're going to go to use your powers to get one over on me. So you might win in the end, but essentially you lost the battle because you couldn't articulate yourself. You couldn't win the battle. And that's exactly what happened with you. Because what they were doing was so illogical. You wasn't doing anything wrong. They just went straight into fucking we're police. We're just going to drag you in mode. There was no logic to it, but they'd lost the battle probably 10, 15 minutes beforehand. It's just a shame because I think when you're an individual that's red pilling and you're seeing this, it just means more and more confidence is being dropped or that you're losing in terms of the establishment. But we are still balanced. There's many people that have followed what we followed back in the day that will then have a total blanket negative view on the police because of that incident. I'm not. The irony is, there's actually another video. Just grab it. The geezer, the sergeant who actually gave out the Section 35 to John, and he wanted to give it to me.
I've actually spoke to some really nice police, helpful, you know, when they've been doing the liaison for the demos that I did.
Yeah. No, this is it. This is what I'm saying. We can't assume that police are just all kind of like this because they're not. You know, some of them, because of they're not that intelligent, then they'll kick into this mode. Some are geared up to being this mode. Some are just damn right ignorant people. You can't assume that anyone with a jacket and a badge on now is got an exemplary character. It's not. You can have a proper fucking wronging. But at the same time, we've been to so many demos where we've spoke to really funny, helpful police that see actually your point. They're not there standing up for you, but they're not there arresting you. They'll let you, and they can see why you're out on the street. So we've got to keep that in mind. I mean, this clip here, this is the actual guy that administered the Section 35 to John and to Joel and wanted a piece of me. I'd seen him so many times after that event on different marches. We're pretty much on first name terms. I'm going to his house this Christmas for dinner, Sharon. Not really, but honestly, it's like all that's gone. He's not seeing me as a wrong'un, but he knows that I'm not probably the most easiest person that's going to roll over either. So there's an element now where we've got a mutual respect. And it's fucking weird when it all based off the fact that basically you were beat down by two policemen. But luckily I had nothing to do with him. So, you know what I mean? It doesn't have any bearing. But this is the guy. The guy's called Roger, I think. And this is an event, I think it was it sometime this year in Manchester? But he'd been on several events during.
Oh, fuck.
Where's your mate John? Where's John Lawrence?
I've no idea, mate.
He's usually with you, isn't he?
No, I haven't been with him for a good while. No.
When I bumped into you last time when we had the banger beds.
Yeah.
I went to Leeds the following week and he was there and he seen me and he went, oh, fucking
mate, he'll be...
going to be all right today, Sergeant. As long as you do as you're told, I know your name now, so it's...
I know, innit? I know. Mate, he was labelled that day. All he had to do was just hold his mouth a little bit and it wasn't hard.
We'll facilitate it.
I know.
Even there's unlawful obstruction of the highway there. How long's this going to go on? Paul said to me, do you want to move? Do you want us to move? Yeah, come on, let's get this road unblocked. Yeah. Let's go.
Gotta do it. Yeah, I know. I'm not one for running into a brick wall, mate. I know when I can see it coming.
You don't with us, do you, in the end?
Well, I mean, let's face it. There's a certain right to redress, but at the same time, there's no point in doing anything that's going to give you ammunition to be able to do your duty your job. Yeah. So it's a question of just being a little bit smarter.
Yeah.
You know.
Just be polite. So we're polite. But what are you doing here? We're facilitating.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What route are you taking? why didn't you tell us the week before or the day before? We'll come and walk it with you.
See, the thing is, there's been so many shenanigans by the police over the past few months.
There's no trust. There's no trust.
That's
with
the
us,
thing.
and you've got to break it down, and
Yeah.
it comes from both ways.
It does.
You hear that, Sharon? He actually admitted
Yeah.
himself, no trust in the police.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, bloody hell. So I think it's at the end now anyway.
So get yourself a contact in the cops. I'll give you my work number. Send me a message.
Well, he wants to invite me for dinner there. He's giving me his number and everything. I'm not into people like you.
Do you know what I mean? I'll
Right.
say that to him and all, you know what I mean?
Right, I'll take you up on that, mate. What's your name, mate? Rob.
Get me Colin, you know me Colin, don't you?
Yeah, no, I'm being serious.
Rod Ashton, my name is. I'm a sergeant, obviously, with GMP.
Mate,
And we'll talk to you. Fair enough.
thank you.
Crazy shit. Crazy
know.
shit. You know, when you there is a I don't know what to make of that.
I mean, I'm not disrespectful to them even now. Do you know, when I go out and when I go to Newcastle filming the Freedom demos, they're coming up on first name terms, coming and talking to me, and I'm like, how do you know my name? But I'm always polite to them because it's like, it's not a personal attack. It's, you've got to do your job.
Okay, Rob,
Yeah, we know where you live.
You can't have a conversation. Oh, he don't want to know me as a friend. He wants to surveil me. No, mate, I didn't feel that. And there'll be an element where, you know, I'd have to watch, but I do anyway. And this is what I say to people, that when you've got nothing to fear, why should I be asked about walking up to him and having a conversation?
Yeah.
I'm not the slightest intimidated. He can question me all he wants. I'll stand there and I'll talk to him. But I know eventually what he wants to find out, there'll be nothing there. I'm not a criminal. I'm not breaking the law. So when you drop that fear, the police see that you haven't got that fear. And I honestly, truly believe that with the amount of polite confrontations I've had with police, they can see it. When you're stood in the face and you're letting them know that you're not intimidated, but you're not offensive to them, that'll hit them. Because they want you to be, nah, I'm not like that. I'm not breaking any law either. You know what I mean? I've got a way that'll get under their skin a little bit. But other than that, I've got no problem going in his face and telling him. I
get a bit cheeky with him at times, just because I'm just trying to be funny, really. But it's usually on camera. I try to have a bit of banter with them. Do you know what I mean? But I'm sometimes a bit sarcastic. Some of them, but yeah, it's interesting when you kind of step back from being involved in the demo and you recording the proceedings, because you notice things that you wouldn't notice when you're in the crowd and chanting and doing other things. So it's quite interesting from that side of things. But yeah, they quite often, the police quite often put the camera on me. You know, like when they did in Newcastle, when I was recording everyone walking down the street, they're walking down recording me, recording them. You know, and I'm like, what are you doing?
I know. I call them the Ninja Turtles. In London, they're forever doing that, and they've been doing it for years. You know, and I always say to them, you can film me if you want. There's cameras all over the place. We're one of the most surveilled countries in the world. We've got facial recognition. Why should I give a fuck if you're pointing that in my face? And this is what I'm saying. It's almost like they expect you to retreat. They expect you to cover your face. Why? I'm not a criminal. I've not broke the law. Coming out to a protest is not illegal at this point, and I've not done anything at this point of the day to say that I'm illegal. I don't have to hide who I am. So when you drop that fear, there's nothing they can do apart from falsely arrest you, falsely grab you, which then, if you keep holding on and you don't give them the ammunition, then hopefully you get to win at the end of it, or at least you'll get to expose them for what they've done.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think people, when you've got situations like that, I mean, how easy is it? you've got these Ninja Turtles that will start poking cameras in people's faces. And with some of the topic matter that we've been covering about grooming and about all this kind of situation, people can take that personal. That can then go into a confrontation with that policeman. Before you know it, within 5 minutes, that person's been thrown on the floor and arrested. And you've lost all your argument of whatever you felt started that off. So if you felt it was unjust that the guy pointed the camera in your face, yeah. But by you giving it him, you've just given yourself that kind of, you know, chastisement that you didn't want, just like John did. You know, we've got to be smarter, and it's showing that, you know what, we are strong with our point of view for why we're actually there, but I'm not going to give you that ammunition. I'm not that easy. If it was that
if
easy,
if I'd have been shouting and carrying on with that copper in the street, instead of just telling him I wasn't giving him my details because I hadn't done anything wrong, they would have looked at that and gone, well, look at you kicking off, look at you having, you know, you looked intimidating, or they couldn't say any of that because I didn't. And even when they were getting out of the van, I was calling them a bully. I mean, I could have said a lot worse, but she still felt, the judge still felt that was verbal abuse to the police, me telling them that they were bullies, but I could have said a lot worse by that point. You know what I mean? I'd just been moved up in back at that.
I mean,
I know it's all right for the strong-minded, but sometimes, you know what, you've got to feel the fear and do it anyway. And if you know you've done nothing wrong, then stand in the right, because it's intimidating, yeah. But
the thing I fear there with that, what he said, and he's right, we've got different degrees of strength. But what we're talking about here, if you are of a weak-minded, then it's not only the police you've got to worry about. Every facet of your life, people are going to come and get you. If you're weak in your mind, if you're easily taken over because you're weak in your mind, then it's not only the police. You're going to have your friends that are going to do it to you from growing up. You're going to have people that will manipulate you. And what, you're going to be subservient? So to be fair, my answer to that is develop a strong mind. What's the point in being a protester if you're fucking weak-minded? I'm not an hard man, but there's parts of me that ain't buying any part of that.
That Maya Angelou said something interesting there on that line, Phil, that without courage, you can't stand up consistently for anything, because there's going to be times where you're going to have to call on that courage to stand your ground. And if you want to stand up for yourself and others, you've got to be brave. And you know, when the shit hits the fan, you've still got to be brave. Otherwise, you're not doing anything consistently. And that's where you feel the fear and do it anyway. If you know that you're standing and in your truth, and you've not, you know, with dignity and integrity, then with those as your armor, if you can find it in yourself to be, you know, the best version of yourself, to be a little bit braver each day, if you are you know, a fragile person, it is your responsibility to build yourself up. And I think there's a lot of weak-willed people now that have been completely brainwashed, Munchausen by proxy, with the government having them believe that they've got some illness. I still see people walking around the street with masks on, and these are like men, a lot of men still wearing masks and walking around the street, and I think, is there any hope for you, really? I see pregnant women with them on, and I think, do you not understand that you're depriving your unborn baby of oxygen by depriving yourself of it? You know, I don't say these things to these people. I'm not going to interfere in other people's lives. They have the choice to make themselves, but it's very difficult to walk through the town and not shake my head when I see somebody walking around with a mask on outside, or I see a pregnant woman with one on, and I just think, do a little bit of research, help yourself out here. You don't have to be on the street campaigning, you don't have to be at the front of the crowd, you don't have to be on the megaphone. But you can protect yourself in your own home, but you can do the research. You can just turn the TV off and stop blindly listening to the crap that they're churning out. You know, this is a war we're in, really. People don't realise it, and they're all kind of numb, I think would be the word, wouldn't it? They're numbed and brainwashed, and you've kind of got to see them as victims of a social experiment or something. That those of us that are awake and can see it and have the strength to stand our ground, we have to be the voices for those that can't.
We're in real life social engineering, aren't we?
Yeah.
We're seeing people being engineered. Not even, I wouldn't even say against their own will. The sick thing is they fucking want it.
No.
But they didn't need to think that they want it. I wanted to ask you a question. Can a weak-minded person be strong-minded? Can you make yourself strong-minded? Or is it something that you've innately got?
I think I tell you what I noticed, Phil, when I was working in schools, the amount of young people with anxieties. The pupil referral unit where I was based wasn't full of children who couldn't cope with the work so much. You know, it used to be the kids that couldn't follow the curriculum and things like that. Most of the kids that were coming through the door were because of anxiety. They couldn't go to school because of anxiety, whatever the anxiety was. And I thought, what the hell is happening to our young people that they're all so anxious about everything, you know? And it's this screen they sit in front of constantly, one screen or another. It's a TV, it's a computer, it's a phone, it's whatever, their iPad. And I see my granddaughter who's 3, and if she's been on the iPad too long, she's a demon. And when you take her off it for a few days, she's lovely and she's creative and she plays and she'll go play on her own for ages, and she's making up games and dancing and doing the things. But when she's got her iPad, the baby fell off the sofa and she sat next to her. She didn't even notice. She's like sitting on their iPad, and my daughter does have to limit her time, and same as my grandson when he's on the game, you can hear him, and I'm like, right, come off. You know, if I'm there, but you just get limited on it. She's really good, my daughter, like that. But some of these kids, I saw parents in my days working with them where they would push the pushchair in front of the TV and stick a biscuit in one hand and a can of pop or a bottle of pop in the other. There you go, childminder for the day. Put the TV on, strap them in the pushchair and give them something to munch. And this is where you're seeing.
Yeah, no stimulation.
You walk around and you think these kids are doomed, but then my daughter comes home and she'll tell me stories of these kids that they've got that spark, they've got that, they're fed up with it, they're not having it. Have you heard about all these? I think it's on TikTok or something. These kids are videoing the teachers and putting photos, they're tracking them down on Facebook and using the pictures and stuff. And I know they shouldn't be using personal information of the teachers, but it's kind of, they're fighting back, these kids. That's how I see it. I know it's not nice to have your personal information and everything, but to me, they're fed up. They're saying, do you know what? You're taking the piss out of us. We're going to take the piss out of you. And a lot of them have got their eyes open. I'm glad to hear. You know, I think when they were giving out I think there was less than half of them were getting it. I still feel bad for the half that were, but it's good that they weren't all getting. Do you know what I mean? But these kids, yeah, they might seem wild and they might seem out of control or they might seem naughty or whatever, but they're going to need that vitality. They're going to need that spark. They're going to need that bit of defiance, that whatever, you know, not to go crushing old ladies over the head and robbing the bags, to stand up against the tyranny that we're under at the moment, to fight for their future, not this bollocks about climate change and all that shit. I mean, Greta Thunberg in Scotland and all these kids taking day off school to go marching with her and all that shit. I said, where's all the kids fighting for the right to be safe from these predators? They're not marching on the street for that, are they? Why not? That's their future. That's their safety. That's their mental health at risk. If they've moved,
talking about, Sharon, this is the mental weakness that I see, is that the virtuous then will be sparked by a couple of what is now targeted people. We're all being targeted with this propaganda. We're all being told right now that climate is the biggest thing we need to worry about. And because the BBC and the other establishments have said it and shaped their narrative, then it's important. That sparks, in my eyes, the weak-minded people who can't see beyond that to then rise and come out, which they always tend to do, like with the George Floyd and everything else. And it all, there was so many different stories on that. Now, the problem that you've got with that is when people do that, they're not using their own mind. They're actually displaying mental weakness, because I could watch a program now and it's not going to make me go on a protest. I need more than that. I need to be sure of that behind it, not to say that I'm just going to listen to Granada Reports or whoever it is and then be outraged. I need to do further looking, further checks. And I think that these people, when you've got a population of people that have been targeted in the way they have, and I can understand it, the fear and how you feel your life's been taken away, to think that any individual is going to allow this to happen to you or your family is weak-minded. If you've let Boris and all them others come in and tell you that you can't have your life back unless you have this back, unless you do that, unless you go, you're weak-minded. I don't give a shit who you are. You might be vulnerable. But then if you look at your vulnerability, there's still a probability in play as to whether, one, you'll get it, and two, how severe it's going to be on you. So you're weak-minded. Everything comes back to the mind. And to me, now I'm done. I'm not condemning people. Brett put it here. People will follow a good leader, right? I'm sorry to say it. I'm going to say it. And if people don't like it, I don't give a shit. Why do they need a good leader, Sharon? What's up with them? This is the problem that we've had. We've been following march after march where people, oh, Tommy, oh, da, 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 da. Look where that got you. You're stupid. What you're doing, you're offsetting. You're offsetting your outrage. Here, you speak well. You can deal with it. Say that person can't deal with it. Then what you've done is literally relinquished every bit of power that you as a fucking individual's got to someone else. You've got that power. You stand up. You tell the policeman, you can arrest me if you want, but I will not stop fighting because it's unjust what you're doing. I don't need Tommy Robinson. I don't need these. I don't need them. I'm me. What's wrong with people, Sharon?
Do you know what, Phil? I got told yesterday that they've moved. There's a house, and it's in the row of houses between mine and my daughter's house, right? So their house backs, you can see the back windows from my daughter's garden where the kids play. Now, I'm ready to give anybody a free go, right? If they keep themselves to themselves and they're law-abiding, whatever. But they've moved these 3 people into this house. I'm not going to say what colour or where from, whatever, but you guess what I mean, right? The Home Office have put them in there, obviously. Now, one of the women around there, one of the mothers, attacked one of them yesterday. Do you know why? Because he asked one of the little girls if she had a dad. And you know, I'm glad to see that the mothers around here aren't going to stand for that. And she went for him. Don't you ever talk to my child again. Do you know what I mean? There's no reason. This is what I mean. When you think, oh, you're being racist, you're being this and you're being that and the other, right? When I hear stories like that, they've not been in there long. They've moved them into a street where there's loads of kids. And, you know, I'm sorry, but that ain't going to happen on my doorstep. Not when I've got grandkids around here. And, you know, when you're hearing stories like that, we have to take care of our own. Because,
you know, if you've got an area that has gone through something like that, they want to fight back. To me, it's redundant having the person that speaks the best. Because that's one person. One person can be corrupted, one person can get it wrong, one person can make mistakes. But if all of you, and this is the argument I've been saying all the fucking long, and I've been trolled for it, I've been kind of unsubbed for it because I'm divisive when I say it, and I'm done. I'm done with this. Let's vote for a leader. That guy will do it. Let's sub to that guy. What's up with you?
I'm not even on the election roll, Phil. I won't even entertain any of that system at all. I'm not involved. I don't want to be part of that. They've been knocking at my door before saying you've got to be on the road. No, I don't. I'm sorry, but I'm not taking part.
We call ourselves the 99% if we're going to elect a leader. So it's not the 99% then, is it?
And if you knew anything about anything, you'd know that it's all corrupt anyway. So it doesn't make a bollocks of difference who you think should be leading, because they're all singing from the same sheet. At the end of the day, they just shuffle them around so that nobody has to be accountable. It's like people in these positions. That's why they get promoted when they fuck up, because it's like move them on. Then there's no, oh well, it was his job at the time, but he's not here anymore. So that's where this book stops. Well, I'm sorry, but this is where we have to then make sure that the kids around where we live are safe, because that for me is the only priority. I'm not, I don't care what people are going to call me or whatever, but like you say, you've got to take responsibility for yourself, haven't you? And you've got to take care of your own. And when everybody starts doing that, the world will be a better place, because nobody will want to interfere in anybody's lives. They'll want to just make sure that their own and the loved ones is safe and secure. And
but it also takes the mental strength, Sharon. So you can't take responsibility if you're weak-minded, because someone's always going to do you over.
It's a blame. Where there's a blame, there's a claim. This is remember when the advert started? We're the same age. I remember when it was just bombarding the TV with, if you've tripped over, the woman tripping over, pick your feet up, you fucking clumsy bitch. You know what I mean? Don't be claiming, I've broke my leg because I didn't watch where I was going. Well, they've conditioned people now to try and get as much out of everybody and not take responsibility for anything. Well, it's not my fault I was wearing high heels. You should have made sure the curb was flat. Do you know that sort of attitude? And it doesn't get you anywhere, because the more you pass on the responsibility instead of being accountable, the weaker you are, really. You give your power away, don't you? When you can stand in your truth, no matter what the consequences of speaking that truth, if it's yours, speak it.
This is where it annoys me, because this is where PC comes right into it as well. And this is where you could argue weak and strong-minded. If I've got a strong opinion, then you know what? As long as I articulate it where I'm not offending you, Sharon, then you shouldn't be offended by it. Even if you don't agree with it, even if you think it's way over from where you're at, it's still an opinion. If I'm not doing it in a sense where I want to threaten, harm anybody, then you should not be alarmed by that. People have all manner. Similarly, I could look at the opposite side and go, well, you're a bit naive. And people that think like yourself, not yourself, but whoever I'm confronted at that time, could actually be detrimental to people because of the lack of you wanting to call something out, or you truly standing up. You know what I mean? We've seen it before. People have died, people have been raped because people have not wanted to admit that there's a certain problem going on, and then it's been swept under the carpet. Next thing you know, it's like, man, I'm just sick of seeing people with no balls around me. I'm sick of it. And I'm talking about people, just whether it be friends, people walking up the street with a mask on. And this is the problem, if you're going to be the 99%, be part of the 99%. Truly, stick up for yourself, your family, articulate yourself, mentally rise, do whatever you've got to do, pass that down to your children. With where we're all living, there's an element of dysfunctionality around all of us. Try and push away from that dysfunctionality, rise yourself above it. I'm not suggesting anyone is in a certain mental quagmire right here now, but I can't ignore what I've seen over the past 4 to 5 years. I've seen a load of people that just want to go, let him do it. Let him do it. Let him make the video. Let him do it. And they think it's as easy as putting a thumbs up, a like, and a share, and everything's going to be fucking all right. Well, let me tell you guys, it's not, is it? It's going to take more than a goddamn video. It's going to take more than sharing and liking. It's going to take people standing the fuck up for themselves and collaborating together. And that's it. And
it's like all these people, fight for freedom and then queue up for the clot shot or stand singing "God Save the Queen" when what's that all about? Do you know what I mean? You've either got your eyes open or you haven't, and it's like it's difficult to look at it all, and you can't look at it all because there's so much of it. And I understand why people only look at certain things, but when you, like you say, if somebody's got a different opinion or some more information, or you don't know anything about that. I've had it so many times where I'm talking about something that somebody knows nothing about, and they dismiss it like I'm talking shit. Because they haven't heard of it or they don't know anything about it. Well, so therefore it doesn't exist. Well, do a bit of research, find out, because you've always got something you can learn. I can have a conversation 2 days later. I can go, oh yeah, that makes sense. And that's how you change and grow all the time. You evolve by not getting it. When you've got an opinion and it's fixed, there's no room to grow. You shutting every other option out there. You know, it's like when you can go beyond belief and explore everything that's around you, every bit of information that comes your way that you think, is that true or not? Make your own mind up. Nobody's telling you what to think. However, take the value from interactions with other people, because there's something in there that can make you think or help you think or see a different, you know, we all have lessons to learn from everybody. So it's worth listening to people, even if you don't agree with them, rather than just argue in your case who's right, who's wrong. You're both right because you both believe what you believe, but you've got to have the conviction of your belief. If you believe that, stand in that belief. You know, if you get a bit of information that changes your perception of that, then fine, that's how you grow. But you know, people go, well, I'm too old to change. I won't change. This is how I am, you know. And I think, well, that's really a shame because you're missing out. There's so much more you could be getting from life if you kind of explore things and I don't know, you just take an interest in things, even if it's like songs that come up that flash up, you know, when I'm flicking through YouTube or whatever that I've not heard, and I put it on and I think, oh, actually, I've never heard of that person, but I quite like that tune. It's like that, isn't it? It's don't lose that curiosity that brings you to life, because it's learning something new brings you to life, doesn't it? It's an interest.
I mean, people fascinate me, Sharon. I think that, so I tend to kind of philosophize and kind of psychoanalyze, and I'm not trained. I just think about people. I imagine scenarios, and I'm prepared to concede. I'm prepared to look at mitigating circumstances with people's lifestyles, because we all have different lifestyles. We're all, you know, financially either all right or not all right. You know, there's so many different degrees. So I put all that in the mix, and I look at like within people's souls, if that makes any difference. So like I'll be looking into someone's eyes and I can understand. And even a lefty, right? If they can stand and talk, they can have all the opinions they want. If they still stop short of being a decent person and just allowing that person across them to go, yes, you know what? Opinions aside, I love you. Fuck off. We're both gone, you know, in our own separate lives. That, to me, is the beauty spot. And I've always loved being in that situation. The only thing I can't really probably deal with is sexual offenders and probably people who've taken someone's life.
Yeah.
So like interviewing or talking to someone like that, I don't know whether I could sit and rationally talk to, even though I'd want to get in their head, the fact that the people could be calm and articulate as to why they're like that, I don't know whether I'd want to hear that, because to me, you ultimately have to prostrate yourself if you've done anything of magnitude against one person. Don't try and rationalize that shit. Don't try and tell me that the reason you done that was because of A, Y. I say, well, that's you being fucking weak then, innit? Because you had no business touching another person, taking another person's life, taking a liberty or destroying their soul. You had no business. And there's nothing that can explain it within your lifestyle that means that you've had to encroach or violate somebody else. So
if you hate yourself so much, if you've got so many issues, take your own life, not somebody else's. You know, it's, why do you have to, you know, if you want to take a life, take your own. If you're that way out. Why you hear of these parents that kill their children because they're splitting up with the mother, and it's like, why would you do, and then go kill themselves? And it's like, why would you do that? You know, it's like, if I'm going to go, you're all going to go. And but then I guess these people are psychopaths, aren't they? So, what's that Rob saying? Chatting about the recently woke.
Yeah.
Unicorns
now. The victims. The victims that offended, that have seen behind the veil but don't push through because of fear, psychological warfare. And we spoke about this, is we're humans that we're just getting on with our life, Sharon. And no one, when we're growing up, expected that the Overton window, the world's going to change. And the world essentially is like a Wizard of Oz, that there's more to it, and there's, you know. So when you find that out, you're all of a sudden in a position where you either just put your hands up like that and crack on working, which one of my ex-employees said to me. He knew all about the woes in the world, but then decided, hey, what can I do about it? I'm just going to make as much money as I can and sort my family out. I thought, right, that's fucking great, innit? Meanwhile, he's watching me running about, marching, talking to everyone, free of charge, couldn't give a shit, just doing it because it's the right thing to do, to stand up. And if I die tomorrow, then I know I've not been a weasel, I've not been a weak-minded bitch, and I'm not the one with like 4 cars outside my driveway, but I've got fuck all to show in terms of a conscious ability. I'm done, Sharon. I'm done. I'm probably going to sound angry, but I'm just done.
Life's too short to waste it on people who can't see the wood for the trees, and who it's like, yeah, you make your own choices, and it's a defining line now, I think, with people that have bought into the narrative and are going along with it, and damaging themselves and other people in the process. And those of us that are stepping outside of that and going, do you know what, that's your choice, and fair enough, but I haven't got time for you, because I need to be around people on the same wavelength. I need to be around people that I can talk sense with. And you know, you judge that, like we were saying earlier, about when somebody dies suddenly, as you were saying earlier, that you don't know the details, but people are going to speculate that sudden illness, death, no previous illness, people are going to speculate about whether they've had the clot shot. So it's like, that's where we've got to now, isn't it? And it's, and when people have, you're limited in what you can talk about with them, because everything ties into that now, because they've pushed it on people so much. They're so brainwashed by it that you've got to choose who you talk to and how what you talk about, I think, now. Well, I do anyway, because I just can't be arsed with.
I agree with you. And I think many people who would gladly call someone a conspiracy theorist now, they're just literally putting a pillar over their head. Metaphorically, they are. Even if the individual that they're talking to, they feel they're full of shit, they feel they've got the angles wrong, they might. But it doesn't mean to say that your life is still not being manipulated. It doesn't mean to say that you're still not running under the biggest social engineering problem. So you might feel satisfaction by going, Sharon's a conspiracy theorist, which puts me, you know, in a good place by putting her down like that. That means that what I'm thinking, I'm right. Nah, you're still getting bumfucked by the establishment. You're still working for a system that you're basically a slave. You still got financial instruments that are basically just raping you from the moment that you're born, and every future kid that you will have as well. So you can have that satisfaction if you want by condemning that person just because he couldn't get his sentence out properly, or just because he's got the wrong angle. What he is trying, or what she is trying to do, is try to find truth with all this bullshit. And they're not weak. That's an element of at least wanting to look, you know what I mean? Wanting to be submissive. So at least hats off, even if they've got it fucking wrong, at least they know that there's something wrong and they're prepared to stand up for it, instead of someone just going, I'll have any jab in any fucking arm, I don't care. You're weak, man. You're weak. And I'll say it to my best friends. I don't give a fuck what they say to me, but they wouldn't say it to me because deep down they know what they've done, it's all born from weakness.
Because what they're doing, I'm afraid to die, is what they're saying. I'm having this because I don't want to die. Well, you've just committed slow suicide. Sorry, mate. I don't want to. Well, I'm not afraid to die. In fact, I see it as going home. I'm not in any hurry to go home in the same instance, but I'm not afraid of it. So it's like, if you want to spend as much time with your family as you can, you want to be around to see them grow, you want to be around to spend that time with them. However, life's not easy, and it's not meant to be. It is a struggle, and we do suffer. And bearing that suffering and seeing the light at the other side of that and getting the blessing from that is what makes life for me worthwhile. It's like I feel alive. I feel like my life's an adventure. I don't feel like I'm hiding in the shadows in case I get, you hear the radio, open the windows for 10 minutes, let COVID out because it gathers in the enclosed spaces and that. And I'm just like, fuck off. Do you know what I mean? Just turn the radio down while the music's not playing and put it back up when it starts. But it's relentless, insidious, and I mean, they're just changing the narrative now to the climate shit from the COVID shit. So everyone's going to get sucked into that. We've got wind turbines. All right. And how much gas and oil do they use to run? Because it's not just run on the wind. What about electric cars? They're worse for the environment than petrol cars, but everyone's pushing them. What are you going to do with the batteries when that wore out? Landfill. Is that good for the environment? You virtue signaling motherfucker. Do you know what I mean? It's like...
I get you. And this is the level of intellect that you're dealing with. I mean, so in some ways, you've got a lot of intelligent people, but in many ways, you've got a lot of people that have only been subjected to high trauma-based propaganda, and it's hit them. So then they feel that they can hit you with all these facts. You're going to be dead in 5 years. And they feel they're justified because they've got the establishment on their side. They don't know what they're on about. And if they truly actually looked into themselves on an individual, they wouldn't even be looking at that anyway. You'd be living your fucking life if you were that concerned about conserving the planet. Do the right things then. Guarantee, don't be moaning at me and then put a cig out on the floor, or then go and, if you're in a pub somewhere, go and leave a glass while you walk off. Because you're a fucking hypocrite. Because if you're going to then go on about climate change, you'd literally be cleaning up everything around you. And most people don't do that. So don't give me that double standard crap, you know what I mean? But I just see the element of weakness when people pose that argument all the time. That I feel for them, that they've allowed that fear to trickle in and penetrate into the body, where they then feel that it's all right to justify to beat other people down. And I think, just personally, it's time for people to stand up now. It's time for people to look at themselves, not look at any external force. We are all individual, beautiful human beings, Sharon. Why are people not getting that? You as an individual, you know what I mean? You're a powerful body computer. The spirituality and the empowerment that you possess as an individual, never mind fucking me. So it's like, what the hell's going on?
It's turn the frequency up on your energy center and emit the light. Get out of the dark shadows and live. Be alive. Breathe.
What's the secret to doing it, Sharon? What's your secret? What made you drop the fear?
Well, it's most of the things you fear don't happen. Most of the things you worry about don't happen. So, and if you don't worry generally as a rule about things, you have more energy in the circumstances when it's called upon to deal with situations better. And people that worry all the time, it's like, I refuse to live in fear. If I want to do something, I'll go do it. I have my down days, don't get me wrong, right? I have, and I'll take myself out for a walk or whatever. And I've got fibromyalgia, so as much as I seem like I'm really fit and active, I do struggle. But as long as I can walk, I'm gonna walk because I love walking. What's that? Yeah. So I live a basic life, and I don't have a lot of money, and I don't do a lot, but it's that inner peace of living in the right way. I love my family, they love me. I don't put expectations on anything, so there's less disappointment.
You know, just like my boss, is money your be all and end all? You can make all the money in the world and be a miserable motherfucker all your life. You can make all the money in your world and have every individual around you leave you. You can be alone. Money can be the worst thing possible. So it's a God within itself that you are worshipping at the altar for. We all need elements of money, granted, but happiness has got nothing to do with money. Happiness is there.
People look for something to make them happy. They look for someone to make them happy. What they're missing, the trick they're missing is you've got to find the happy before within yourself. People can't give you that. You have moments of happiness, you have moments of sadness, but you can still find the joy in things. And so, like, I can go for a walk feeling crap. I might still feel a little bit crap when I come back, but not as crap as I did when I went out. Do you know what I mean? Little things that you can do to help yourself. It's like you were saying, it's our responsibility to take care of us. It's our responsibility to find the happy within us and share it, not expect it from other people. I'll be happy when I get that car. I'll be happy when I get that job. I'll be happy when I get that house. Well, if you're not happy now, you're not going to be happy. I'm sorry, but it's not something you wait for. It's something you create within yourself in order to pass it on, not to judge other people for how happy they can make you.
Sharon, how many people that you've heard maybe over the years, they've lived a stressful life, they've had a high-powered job earning whatever, 6 figures, some 7-figure, whatever. They leave it and they become the happiest they've ever been in their life. They live a humble lifestyle. They realize that the road to the riches is not what it's supposed to be or what it actually is. There's something more going on, and it's the element of just understanding who you are as an individual is the key. Understanding your individual connections with everyone around you is the key. Not about your car. It's not about superficiality. It's not about how many holidays you can go on. You know what I mean? And it's like, if you keep going on that line, that is the world of the unconscious that we're talking about there. And I'm not saying an unconscious person can never be happy, but if that's the life you're leading, then there's an element where it's almost like living a lie.
Well, they
living in a pad, but it's not truly making you happy, surely.
They push it onto young people, don't they? That they should look like porn stars. They should look like as fake as possible. They should strive to have the posh car or the fame and fortune. And so if you ask young people what they want to be influencers on social media, or they want to be famous, or they want to be rich, or whatever. When you ask them 20, 30 years later, their view is going to be very different. They'll have strived for that job. They'll realise that they might spend all that, get into debt for university, and find themselves behind some counter somewhere, you know, serving others, and it's not what they set out to do when they invested all that time in education. But they geared towards that, and I guess as you get older, all you want is you want that inner peace. You want a calm environment. You want somewhere where you can feel safe and secure and comfortable when you're not doing the things that you need to do in the world, as far as earning money and other things, responsibilities. So if you can create that, it doesn't take a lot. It doesn't take a lot of money. I've got my garden, and you know, I can walk out with the dogs, and it's the little pleasures, the little things that people get stuck indoors. They get stuck in this mental prison of, you know, I can't cope with the outside world. Everything's so horrible. I'm so anxious. I don't want to go out. And if you're not brave enough to take that step to go outside, the first step to self-recovery, when you are feeling like you've got into a position where everything's coming on top, it's the first step to your recovery you've got to take yourself. And it doesn't matter what anybody says, and people go try to do the bit, or, you know, pull yourself out of it, whatever. It doesn't matter what anybody says to you. It's a process that you've got to find for yourself, and we can only hope to be inspiring to those people to go, well, these are just ordinary people. They've had a, you know, shit to deal with at times, and they're still sitting there talking about, you know, how great the world can be, really, and how much, you know, joy you can get from your family and the simple things in life. And I just, the more you look at yourself, the more you look inside, the happier you become. I think it's a dark place to go, but when you're brave enough to explore your demons and the things that you do wrong, the things that you create and attract to yourself that you maybe don't like, when you can take ownership of those, you become happier anyway, because you realize that everybody's the same. Everybody's got a dark side and a light side. Some don't admit it, but you know, you see if anybody comes near my granddaughters, and my dark side will be coming out, I tell you.
Well, I mean, with what's going on in life, it's depressing right now. It's woefully depressing when you look at what's happening, and that's just not my opinion. You can visibly see it when you walk the streets. People, in their eyes, they're not even looking where they're going now. They're walking like they're sad. And there's many reasons why, because life is the way it is now. So it's understandable. But then what you've just said is bang on. Personal goddamn development, personal growth. Are you going to sit there and just feel, all right, I'm going to drudge to it? Are you going to lift your head up? Are you going to feel proud of who you are as an individual? And if nothing else, what is currently going on now is giving you a kick up the arse to say, this is life. You have got one life. Do you want to live it depressed? Do you want to live it wondering, being paranoid? Are you going to rise up? Are you going to be happy? Are you going to then, like you said, project an energy to you and your offspring that you are risen above all this? You are not subjected to this. You are not a consequence of this. And that is a tonic that any child will look up to the parent and go, wow, my mum's carrying me through this, because I'm a bit wobbly through this all the more. But look, my mum's on it. Sharon, she's on it. She's not riding these waves like, you know, with my son one. You know, she's looking up to you, and it's like, we need to do that. One, for us, and two, to inspire other people, I guess. But I don't act to inspire other people. I just see there's a lot of fuckeries going round, and I'm strong enough to say I'm not having it. Now,
be the change you want to see in the world, isn't it?
Well, yeah, without a doubt. And I've tried to do that. Like I said to you, I mean, I walked out of a job because I want to start riding my bike. That's the change I want. I'm sick of fucking traveling in cars. It's not the pollution thing. I'm sick of lazy ass people that just want to just do a small journey but go in the car. They want to go and pick the kids up and park the car as closest to the kids' school gates as possible. You could walk around the corner with your fucking kids, but no, don't want to do it. And then go and order a pizza when you get old because your government's told you to fucking do it. You're not offsetting it by walking in the woods or doing anything nice. No, your fat ass is going to go in your 4x4 and go and park out the street side the street. And I'm done. I'm done with people. So it sounds like I'm mad. I'm not mad. I'm just fierce.
It's the metaverse. Metaverse, the future we've got to look forward to, isn't it? Have you heard about that? The metaverse, apparently meta means beyond. The metaverse is what the Zuckerbergs and the Musks and the likes are planning, and it's basically you don't need to go anywhere anymore. You can just go as a hologram in the metaverse, where you just wear a headset and you can go anywhere you want. You can go to a concert without getting a ticket because you can just be a hologram and be there, and it's great because you. So what are you going to have? Thank you, Lodge. What you're going to have is these people sitting in the chairs with these headsets, just getting fatter and more unhealthy, pretending they've got a life, plugging themselves into the matrix. Basically, that's what they've got planned for them, isn't it? It's like maybe with this green energy, maybe they're going to get everybody. You know, in order for you to live and to eat, to earn your dinner, you've got to cycle in your home till you've powered up the energy source enough to get a meal. That'll be the next thing. What you'll have to cycle enough electricity out to open the microwave or something, won't you? It's like you're a slave in your own house.
See, this is where I've got to disagree. No, it's not fucking. Because it's all right, you having a nice energy and a nice projection and shining your light. What if the other 99% are all dumb fucks and they're walking straight into the fire? This is the point I'm talking about. I could be light, I could be risen, but what if people around me are not? What are they doing towards their personal responsibility to get them out of it?
Well, I've been known. I'm known for bringing out the best and the worst in people, because I don't do superficial conversations. I go right for the heart of it. I like to get to know things. I like to understand why people do what they do, and I like to have in-depth, deep conversations. So I can take things to a level that people are uncomfortable with a lot of the time. But I'm not going to stop doing that because I think it's good for personal growth. I think it's my duty and my sole purpose to bring people out and lift them up a little bit.
It's normal. Let's look at it. People of our age, we've had vast life experiences. We're not supposed to be functioning on a superficial, mundane level. My life doesn't start and stop with fucking Coronation Street or Ant and Deck or Big Brother or any other bullshit that you're going to put up there. I'm a sentient human being that's on this planet with a unique experience. I'm only here for what is a blink of an eye. So what the fuck am I doing? What the fuck are they doing? It's hard, Sharon, is it?
I want when I've gone, I want people to go, God, do you remember when she did that? It's like my daughter yesterday when we went to the tattoo parlour. She's telling the guy in there that when we went to one of the festivals, I was dancing in the same spot that long that I'd caused a hole in the gravel. There was a little bald spot where I'd been dancing. And she said the young people were coming up and going, oh, I want to be like you and I'm your age. And it's like, even if you suffer for a week with aches and pains afterwards, it's just worth it. Do you know, and I don't really, and when you care less what people think, if every one of them was laughing at me, I wouldn't care because I'm having a good time. Most of them, some of them might have been, most of them just thought she's having a good time. Do you know what I mean? So it's that freedom. Allow yourself that freedom that you were born with. Stop letting them take it away from you, because that restricts you. That puts you into fear, and we're in a, like you say, people are walking around with their heads down like the zombie apocalypse.
I think probably one of my best traits that I've been able to develop is the fact that I've lived such a hard life. I've been brought up on a council estate. Now, many people will go, well, you know what, I'm glad I lived the middle class, but you know what? I'm not. I'm glad I had all the rough knocks, because now it's made me who I am. You know what I mean? And I think we all need them life lessons to realise who exactly are you? What do you exactly represent? What do you want to do in this time that you're here? What legacy do you want to leave for you and your kids? You know what I mean? Do you want to be seen as someone that just went through the system? Knowing the system's fucking you from now till next Sunday. Maybe I'm just a dissident that's grown from all this. Maybe I'm just sick of people. Maybe that's it. Maybe because I'm looking and I'm red pilling, and no matter whether people are red pilled or whether people are not red pilled, there's fuckeries on both sides of the camp. Maybe I'm just sick of the pair of them. Maybe I feel I'm all right. Maybe I feel I'm strong enough in my own mind and I can live my life. I can function on many levels. So why the fuck should I be worried about anyone else? If you can't, that's your ass. The strongest will survive. Maybe I should be thinking like that. I don't know what I'm going through currently right now. I'm kind of slashed between frustrated, probably anxious, you know, wary. At the same time, feeling strong. I feel I'm growing every day. I feel I'm getting stronger within me every day. And I've got to somehow put that in check, that it don't come out angry. I don't know, Sharon. This red pilling journey's fucked up. But what I'm trying to say to people, if people are going to sit on here, right, and think that because they're red pilled, that what I've said tonight don't apply to them, they're full of shit. And I'll take the thumbs down for that comment, because I'm done.
Well, I'm just glad that my kids have got their eyes open, and my older daughter, the one with the children, she was a hard nut to crack, really. Oh, shut up, mother, you don't know, you know what? Why are you talking about us? I don't want to hear about all that stuff. But once she opened her eyes and started seeing it, she comes now and tells me stuff. You know, she comes and tells me, she'll phone me up, she'll say there's been an advert on about the HPV thing. You know, now they're saying if you're a man who has sex with men, you should have it, and all this lot. She's like, what is going on? But it's good because she's questioning things, which means my grandchildren will question things, because that's what it's about. Don't take anything on face value. Everything that you've been taught, we are witnessing them changing history. We are witnessing them tearing down statues and things so they can rewrite the history, so that the next generation have no idea really the truth of it. And so because they kill us off before, you know, too many generations, once you've that knowledge has gone in that generation and it's not taught in the next generation, it's lost. So they know how easy it is to change history. And, you know, the winner writes the history books, I guess. We've just got to make sure that we win. And I think that getting people not to take things on face value, as many people as possible, I'm not saying force it down the neck, but just suggest to people that they do a bit of research, that really it is your intuition. Listen to yourself, listen to your intuition, because to me that's your angels talking. So when my intuition tells me something, I listen. I know sometimes I'm like, oh really? But I have to listen, because when I don't, that's when I go off track. Do you know what I mean? And it's being in tune with yourself that is the key for me. Is I've questioned everything. Like, if I get a reaction from somebody, I question what have I said or done to get that reaction. And it's like, if you project, somebody's projecting onto you something, it's a big telltale sign about what their anxieties or their dislikes or what they have hidden themselves, because we tend to project onto other people what we don't like about ourselves. So it's when you understand, I read a lot of what's not said, you know, when I'm having a conversation with somebody, I pick up a lot of the body language and the tones, and I'm really sensitive to what's being said and how it's being said, and it's that empath thing where you feel it, you know, you can. I think that attachment, what I was talking about earlier, when you've grown up in an environment where things are, you know, if there's domestic violence, things like that, you're on hyper alert from being very young. If something traumatic happens, you go on hyper alert, which affects you. You know, you're on that survival instinct almost all the time. So noises and things, you watch around you. You're very watchful of what's going on and try to wake people up. And it's kind of a skill when you act, you know, and that helps you kind of, when you understand yourself, you can be more understanding of others. Like I look at somebody and I think, when you're judging that person, you never know when you're going to be in that situation yourself. You never know when life's going to take you down a route that you would never have expected to go, and you deal with it in a way that somebody that you may have judged has dealt with something, and you then understand where they were at that time on their journey. So I understand, like, you get frustrated with people and you get frustrated with how people are, with the way they're not thinking, but they're just not ready for it. And that's why I spend time in my shed.
No, you're right. You're not wrong. My point being, if there's 4 people in a room, 3 people have took a certain course of treatment, and because of their fear, they feel the 4th person should take that course of treatment. That 4th person might be more spiritually aware. That's the predicament I'm not worried about, I'm pissed off about. Because when you look at it on a global level, weaker people are pushing something in that's affecting people of a higher conscious level. So as much as Rob's right, why are you worried about others, Phil? I'm a born empath, so I worry about people. But the bottom line is, when these dumb fucks have now changed the course of my life and my children's life, that's when I worry about it. That's when I think, yeah, they have to take responsibility. It's not for me to take their responsibility, but I've done my part of the bargain, and I'm sick of just watching people just dumbed out around me that are not. Now, I'm all right, because I'll make all the mitigating elements of my life work in order to circumnavigate all this shit. You know what I mean? And I'll keep doing that. But I can't deny people right now deserve everything they're getting. And that is a bad thing to say. If you're stupid enough to listen to a government that's going to tell you this, knowing when you look at the stories, knowing when you look intuitively within your own heart on how things are, knowing when you've looked at how elderly people have been kept in care systems that they can barely even look through a window at the, you know, funerals, all that stuff, knowing the way life has gone, and you expect me to sit here and go, what are you worried about, Phil? People should take home responsibility. Right, okay. Another 10 years of this shit, what's going to happen to the people that are taking responsibility? That's my point. Don't matter how much of a light I shine. Doesn't fucking matter. Don't matter. And I'm not trying to say that I'm not shining a light. What I am trying to say is I'm sick of people, which are the 99% and the other elements of people that want to argue, that are bringing all our lives down in every way. And they're not going to maneuver anywhere, if people don't take responsibility and wake up in every aspect. And
stop getting medicated for everything. Stop getting medicated for everything. Stop taking the tablets for everything. You know, we need to look at more natural ways to recover from things, whether it's mental illness or anything. It's like, you know, when you talk to somebody that's got anxieties and depression, there's no quick fix, but some people have got a problem for every solution, and I lose patience, I guess. I'm happy to help anybody if they want a leg up, right? And so there comes a point where you expect that you're helping them because they're going to help themselves at some point. And you can, if somebody's lacking the tools and you've got the tools, you can share the tools with them in order for them to help themselves. But they've got to essentially dig themselves out of that hole. You can't do it for them. So you can provide them with the tools to do that, and you can offer them the support to keep going. But if they're going to find a problem for every solution, you might as well just walk away, leave them to it, and let them come to that point themselves where they think, do you know what, it's time to start digging my way out of this shit. I've been here too long. You can't force them though. And what the government have done is they've put everybody into a state of depression. They've taken, it's like they've spent all these years giving them all of these things to distract them with, just to be able to take them all away to control them. It's like Pavlov's dog, innit? How many people said they got that because they wanted to fly? What's happened since then? A lot of the airlines are going bust. A lot of the pilots have refused to fly because they don't want to get it. Some of them are even dying because of it. Flights are going to go up because of climate change and green funding and all that shit. So essentially, all these people that thought they were going to go to Benidorm, you know, it's not going to be so easy for them. And if they've had it done for that reason, well, I feel sorry for them because they've been mugged off. But then again, you know, it's their own fault they've been mugged off because they should have had a bit more sense about it.
If a guy sat across me and if he's weak enough to go and get an injection because he shitted himself, because he wants to see this and he wants to see that, there's no point in beaming a light at him. You're a dickhead. You're a dickhead. For once in your life, you're not using your head. You're not using your instincts as a human being. You're a mature, intelligent human being. But yet you've let something seep in where you're making irrational decisions. And probably from him looking at me, he might think, well, you are. You are. But I tell you what, with me not having fear, me doing the right thing and me looking after my body, whatever happens to me, happens. So if I die from a certain virus, I'll die from it. If I walk out in the road and a bus takes me out, I'll go from that as well. You know what I mean? Life is what it is. I'm not going to let someone project that I have to live in fear because of anything. Because
I want to go out like Thelma and Louise. I don't want to go out like bloody... I don't know, really. What would be the opposite of that? Do you know, you want to go out with on a cliff edge. I want to live life on a cliff edge. I don't mind. I like it calm and that, don't get me wrong, but I don't want to be sitting in front of the telly waiting to die, like you see so many people. And but that's my choice. That's my choice to do as many things as I can that keep me that make me happy, that keep me in peace, and most of that involves just being around my family, really, watching my grandchildren grow. There's no better joy than that, really. I know other people might not think that's an exciting life, but the joy I get from watching those children, you couldn't put into words. It's the innocence that you know. I'll go around there and I'll put Funky House on the morning before while they're getting ready for school. I'm like, come on, get up. Like, grandma.
Very important things in life, Sharon. This is what I mean. They've presented this world around you where it's like a theatre. So you think certain elements of your life are important because they keep putting on adverts that it's important when it's not. Go and say that to someone who lives in a community in the middle of the rainforest. They're not watching TV. They don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Go to India when you see someone who's actually got nothing and they're bathing in fucking shit water. But the kids have got such a happy, beaming smile on the face. Why is that?
Do you know what, Phil? When we went to...
Kids are miserable because they've got everything they fucking want. Is that not telling you anything?
Well, when we went to go, we took... it was just little packs of hair things, you know, baubles and really colourful little thing. And we went over to the orphanage and give them out. But on the way out, like a couple of days, I went out on the back of the motorbike with one of the guys out there, and the little shacks in the middle of nowhere in the forest and stuff. And I was like, oh, yeah. And she was like, oh, we'll share. You know, like just so grateful for anything. But that's the thing. It's the pure joy. And like these kids were playing on it was like an old wreck of a Range Rover, Land Rover that had just been dumped, and they're just sitting on it. So me and my friends walked along. I got my phone out to take a photo on it, and I wanted like a really natural photo of them just all playing on this. And as soon as I saw me, they got out and they were all buzzing on that. It was so sweet. Do you know what I mean? It was like, and I think experiences like that are life changing because, like you say, they're just happy to be healthy in a lot of cases, and they don't have a lot, but they've got each other, and there's a lesson there that this Western civilization is not very civilized at all, and this, you know, how have we got it right when like you say, those tribes in the rainforest, their life is spent hunting and eating and growing and living and staying alive. Basically, they haven't got time for none of that shit. But the community, they're the ones that'll rule the world when everybody else has got lost in Western modern civilization and toxified and poisoned.
What you just explained, an angel's just put there, not civilized at all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're supposed to be the civilized society. Look, you can barely go out your door. What are you going to see when you get out there? Someone will tell you to fuck off. You can't say nothing because we're in a society where you can't say nothing. If they decide to say something and there's a fight, you know what? The chances of someone helping you, very slim. The chances of some motherfucker
they'll get the phone out and video it
on YouTube is very high. That's a civilized situation, isn't it? And I think, man, we've got it flipped here. We've got it flipped. And I've got
no respect for the elders at all. In those tribes, the elders have all the knowledge. They have respect for them because they pass that knowledge down. What have we got? Fake world, fakery and fuckery. That's what we've got.
You're damn right. You're damn right. And I think the only power that you've got is yourself. Withdraw yourself from it and make yourself whole with what is important to you, not what they believe that you should feel that is important. You sit and watch that bullshit all day, it'll be telling you have to purchase all types of things to make you whole. You don't need none of it. You don't need none of it. You know, but hey ho.
And the latest awful thing, the Squid Games is the latest.
So believe I've never heard about it. I've never watched.
I've never watched it. I don't need to watch it. My daughter watched it so she could, because my grandson asked if he could go on it, and she said, "I'll watch it first." And she said, "Not a chance. What the hell is that all about?" You know, it's dangerous. It's one of these dangerous trends that they're pushing on people, and it's like, how far down into the depths of depravity do they want to take this civilized society that we live in? Because there's no limit to the depths of depravity that they want to take us to, and so we have to keep shining the light.
Well, yeah, I hear that comment a lot, but it kind of means nothing. It means nothing, because if you've got people that want to appear on the show, if you've got people that want to celebrate that lifestyle, it doesn't mean anything about shining lights, because their dim light is more powerful than anyone right now. And it's literally leading people off a garden path. And it doesn't affect me. It affects the civilization that I hold dear. That's why I'm at a place now where I'm thinking, I honestly do think this. You deserve it. I shouldn't think like that. But what can I do when I'm looking at an intelligent, mature person making stupid decisions that's doing that? That are not stupid. It's not an IQ problem. It's a weak problem. So you deserve it.
Yeah.
I've got to say it. I read a book. It wasn't a book. It was a white paper. It was about how to manipulate silent weapons for quiet wars, right? This is a technocrat's paper, supposedly. And within it, they're taking the piss out of the lessers, out of people like us. Because they're basically calling us animals and dogs. That if we're not intelligent enough to work out that we're being bumfucked, then you deserve everything you get. And that's exactly how they put it. Now, I'm at that point where I agree with them. I don't want to see civilization go through that. But if I'm looking at a 50-year-old guy that's making all the wrong decisions and think he's on the right side, that's only going to fuck him up and fuck his family up.
I just think useful idiots. But you know what? When they've outgrown the usefulness, they're dead idiots, because that's their intention, isn't it? We'll use you till you're no use at all, or we'll use you till we'll destroy you, so that once you've served your purpose to us, that's the end of your life, because you'll be so ill from all the fear, all the depression, all the hard work, and all the misery that we've caused you, that and at the end of the day, it's all about the money, isn't it? You won't claim your pension because you won't be around, because we'll make sure of that. You won't be able to live a healthy life because we're going to take that much money off you. You'll go out and earn it and think you've got some money, but by the time we've taxed you on everything, and now this climate shit, you're going to be hand to mouth, and it doesn't look a pleasant future. However, that's what they've got planned for us. What we've got planned for us is different, Phil. We don't need to be going down that route, because it only takes 1% to damage us. So it's the 1% of us that's got our eyes fully open. We can fight that. I truly believe that, because love conquers all.
You know what? I'd love to be as positive as you right now, but I don't see it. In terms of my life, I'm positive. In terms of me having engagements with people, I'm perfectly positive. I'm engaged. Conscious level is rising all the time. But I look at YouTube, I look at all the other platforms, and all I see is people that are weak. I'm sorry. If this is my last video I ever fucking do, I don't care. That's all I'm seeing. I'm seeing people sat there, shine your light, shine your light. You shine your light. You get spiritually awoke. You stand up for yourself. Who are you? What do you stand for? What do you want to mean over this life? Are you just going to sub to someone and put all the responsibility on them? Or what responsibility do you bear? Sorry. I'm going to have to get going anyway.
I know.
I'm probably better.
We just need to mention the raffle one more time again, just to say, is it PayPal? You've got to go onto PayPal for the tickets, and it's raffle tickets you want for the helping the cause. And so, yeah, I don't really know. Is the PayPal set up on Children Matter? Is it? Maybe Rob needs to put on a little message on there with some details for the people that see what they need to do to get the tickets.
Yeah.
Can you, if he's still there? Is he?
He'll still be around somewhere. He's just thanking you there somewhere.
Yeah, put some details on, Rob.
Yes. Yes, indeed. So any last comments, Sharon?
Just try keep your vibration high as often as possible. It's not going to be every day, but, if you're feeling down, pull the duvet over your head where you can, and just let it be until you're feeling better. Because sometimes you just got to go through the shit to come out the other side. And if you fight it, you make it a harder job. So when you're feeling low and out of energy, just sit still for a while. Sit with yourself. Meditate, do something peaceful. Get yourself back on track. There you go. There's the details. Is that Rob's put up there?
Wow.
But yeah.
Honestly, I feel fine, mate. I'm just being real, Rob. I'm being real. I'm saying it as I see it. And if it upsets people, it does upset people. I'm not arsed. I shouldn't have to be arsed. There's no such thing as an influencer. We're all fucking influencers. That's my point. I'm getting sick of this. I'm getting sick of we need to vote for a leader. You're a good speaker. We're all influencers. We all pay bills. We're all responsible. Most of us around here have got children. We're all influencers. So what you're giving up your responsibility as a sentient human being up for to somebody else. We're all influencers. And we can take over the world once we realise that. There's no point in shouting 99% at a fucking march if all you're going to do is vote for one person. You've contradicted yourself. Where's your power? That's all I'm saying. It's not a question of I'm in a bad place. I'm in a fucking uber good place. I feel like I'm dragging people up. I feel like get up here. That's what I feel I'm doing, Sharon. Get up.
I think the turning point for me many years ago as well was to realise that it was do or die. And what do I want my children to think of me? What do I want to represent to them? And I want them to look up to me, and I want them to be proud of me, and I want to set a good example. And when you can set the example that you want to set for your kids, you know, it goes a long way to doing the right thing, I think, because if you care what your children think of you, and if you care the example that you're setting them, then you know you live a more peaceful life, I think.
Without a doubt. Sharon, honestly, I didn't think I'd go here tonight, but honestly, I'm just being real. So I apologise if people.
Don't apologise, Phil. Don't apologise. I completely understand where you're coming from. I get like that myself. I'm like, fuck 'em. Do you know what I mean? It's like, if you want to do that, that's your choice. But you kind of just got to hope that what's going to be left is those people that are awake, standing in their own immune system in enough numbers to shift the balance back to where we need it to be.
It's time to show who they are. Who are you as an individual, for fuck's sake? Look in your own mirror. Who are you? If you're going to stand up, now is the time. If you're a father, are you more interested about a football game, or are you more interested about looking after your children properly in terms of watching all the external elements that are doing your kids over?
Or are you going to be the one where there's some strange man asking your child where daddy is? Have you got a daddy? Or are you going to be there looking out for your kids, whether you're with the mother or not? Because this is the problem. This is like the I forgot his name. He was saying to me when he worked with the perpetrators, if there was a father in the house, they wouldn't go anywhere near, because they know that the father's going to take care of business, if you know what I mean. Whereas if it's a single mum, they're easy prey. The children are easier prey. So like you say, Phil, stand up for what's right. If you've got children, protect them. That's it.
It is indeed. And look at it as a community thing. You and yours. What ideals you've got for you and your family, share that with people around you. And when people around you are like that, you've got a force of people that are positive, you know, and you move forward in a positive nature. But anyway, I'm not going to rant anymore. I've got enough ranting. Brett's saying, look, great.
It's 10 o'clock, look.
The point. Yeah, it's late. We've been on here for
Thanks, Brett.
2.5 hours. The wife is going to absolutely kill me. For all me being, I'm a strong individual. Wait till I get upstairs. Yeah, an hour. Yeah, you always say an hour. You're full of it. So no, it's been.
You know what it's like when we get talking, Phil.
I know, and we could go on and on because we do talk deep, and you've probably drawn this out of me. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, no, I've got things I want to say, and maybe I'm carrying the little thing of the YouTube, the way they've treated me. I'm putting everything in a general scape, but I'm thinking we're all people, and we're not helping each other.
Yeah.
This theory of an influencer is bullshit. Bullshit. I come into this one video. From that one video, I've ended up developing in so many different ways. Video editing, fucking narrating, just generally making videos, go to marches, interviewing people. All them traits I didn't even know I possessed. So I'm not an influencer. I'm just a person that was in a situation, has woke the fuck up real quick, has felt the obligation with it, and then tried to do the right thing, using my morals and my ethics and working righteously with people. That's not an influencer. That's just me realising the situation I'm in and trying to do the best. What's to say Brett can't do it? What's to say, anyone else can't do it? 22 likes. Oh my fucking God. My God.
There's that number again.
I'm telling you. See, I'm like, Jesus Christ. Right, I'm going now. I'm going. Look, and it's 22,229. Oh my God. Look, now it's 11 on the fucking view. All right. Mate, I'm going to have to get going because everything's becoming so symbolic right now. No,
welcome to my world.
That's crazy, isn't it? But listen, nothing changes. We all love people, and that's it. Just want to give people a good shaking. And working together. So
Do you know what? We need to organise a festival, Phil.
Maybe we do, yeah.
You on the decks?
Maybe we do. I wasn't like this last night. I was buzzing last night. Music.
I told you I'd bring out the worst in people.
I've come on here and I'm a good energy, I'm sick of it. I'm not going to change that stance. I'm not going to change it, but this is what this does. This is what I'm saying to people. So, no, never mind influencer. Be your own influencer. In fact, don't watch this stream and influence your own life somewhere and be a positive role model. Seriously. What are they watching it for? What do they want me to tell them that they don't know themselves? What do they want you to tell them that they don't know themselves? Are we the 99%? Sorry, I'm going again, aren't I? Right, Sharon, that's a picture. Goodbye, and we'll be back. Hopefully, get me head in check for the next session, and try not rant as much.
We'll see.
We'll see, won't it? Yeah. I can't.
Yeah.
Well, it's great having your company anyway, as ever, Sharon. Thank you very much.
Love talking to you, Phil, and thanks everybody that's tuned in because it's great to have you on board. Keep that spirit high. Peace, love, and light to everybody. And I'm going to go now. Get myself a brew.
Look at, I'm going to make a brew. Right, I'm off. Right. Okay, guys. Thank you very much for jumping on. Okay. There's nothing wrong with me or Repil Phil. Everything's sweet. I'm just being uber honest, and honesty sometimes isn't the best policy, and I'm saying things as I see them. So all I want is for people to mentally think, why the fuck's he kicking off on that stream? What do I have to take from that bit of information? How can I empower myself from what that guy was talking about? How can I become an influencer? How can I become this individual now? I don't need to subscribe to someone's channel. I don't need to vote. I'm me. I'm fucking me. And that's all this was about. You are you. And you're goddamn powerful and you're beautiful and you're strong. And you're stronger than you think. Don't let these pussies make you feel weak. When I say these pussies, I'm on about elites. Yes, Brett. Yes, Rob. Love you all. Love you all. We've all brought out good points here tonight. And Rob's brought out good points. Be all right. So love you all, guys. Thank you very much. I'll see you a fortnight from today. Remember, big up to Katie J. Swallow, Rob, all the other moderators, Great Brit. If you can help the site and Katie J, remember the links down there. Thank you very much for your support. I love you all, even the pissing haters.
I love you all. 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 I love you all.
Even the pissing haters.
I love you all. 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 I love you all.